Ooh, ooh, ooh. The Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a beloved community we choose to be, where art, life, and spirituality connects you and me. Science of mind and spirit, the foundation we teach and live. Love, joy, and belonging are the gifts we have to give. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one life, one mind, one infinite, eternal, self-existent. 'Cause we pause, embodying all that we are. We shine like a glorious star. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one. Spirituality, it's our way of life. We value laughter, truth, and justice. We express artistry as our living practice. So come and join us at SIA. Know you found a community that will love you every day.
Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message. Namaste and greetings. Welcome to February 8th. We are in the second month of 2026. What's changed? What's going on in the world? To what degree are we walking the edge of life? And how is that changing, evolving, transforming, and healing the planet, the cosmos, all of creation? Spiritual living means showing up. Are we showing up? Even when? Especially when it is challenging and uncomfortable and awkward. Are we still showing up? But it's hard. Are you showing up nonetheless? It's the only way we're going to change and create a world that works for all. But what does it look like to live our truth? What does it look like? Especially when, once again, it feels risky, it feels dangerous, it feels uncomfortable. What does it mean to live our truth? Well, precisely this week, we will be discussing, we will be examining, we will be looking into that. What's going on in terms of my inner existence, my emotions, my thoughts, my consciousness, and how is that showing up in my outer expression as I move through this thing called life? See, the way that I behave, what you get to observe, is based upon my thoughts and my feelings, my inner dialogue, my inner monologue. What we do outwardly is an expression of what's going on inwardly. So, to what degree are we comfortable? To what degree do we simply surrender to, whether this is the way I've always been, it's the way it is in my family, it runs in our DNA? Or are we ready to acknowledge that there is a new set of values? I value health and well-being. That's my new DNA. That is what I am choosing to make visible in my expression. I value love. I choose to make love visible as my outward expression. I value peace. I choose to make that visible as my outward expression. But what if they laugh at you? I don't care because I value it. It is who and what I am and what I choose to be and what I choose to express. How are we choosing to show up? But before we go there, we have to sort of ask the question, though, what does it mean to show up? Just in general, what does it mean to show up? My date never showed up last night. I sat here all by myself, drinking wine and eating steak and breadcrumbs. My date never showed up. Meaning my date never arrived for this event called date. My date never arrived for this gathering, this black tie affair. To never arrive. It's been 2 hours and the pizza we ordered hasn't shown up. The pizza has not arrived. My coworker showed up to work a little tipsy. My coworker arrived to work, right? So my friend always arrives late. So you get the general idea, right? To arrive, to appear at a certain place or event, to make something visible or noticeable. It is involving one's presence, how something emerges, or how something is exposed. Got that? Okay, we'll see. There are a lot of books that have been written by somebody at some point talking about the art of showing up, the art of bringing your true self, exposing your true self, bringing the presence of your true self to all of your relationships, how to be present to yourself and to other people, how to be in an emerging, developing connection with, right? So we got this. Okay. So then let me ask, what would you do? In what way would you show up regarding any number of things? How would you be present? How would you emerge? How would you? And we're going to get there for a second, but in order to, answer the questions, you have to know, who do you have to be to show up? Who do you have to be? What do you have to be? So who do you have to be? What do you have to be? In order to show up, in order to be present, in order, all those things. To show up on time, what do you have to be? In order to show up at work on time, in order to show up on a date on time, who do you have to be? How do you have to be? And what are you showing up specifically for? What does it mean to show up for yourself? What does it mean to show up for the date? What does it mean? And in order to do it, how do you have to be? So keep in mind that Pastor Nimmler years ago said, first they came for the Jews. Who's they? The Nazis. First they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak out. I didn't show up because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the communists, and I didn't speak out. I didn't show up because I'm not a communist. Then they came for, and I didn't show up. Then they came for, and I didn't show up. Then they came for me, and there was no one else to show up for me. So who do you have to be to show up? What do you have to be to show up? How do you have to be to show up? And in light of all the things that are going on in the United States of America now and many other places in the world, people would often say, if you have ever wondered what you would have done during the transatlantic slave trade, during the time that people of color were enslaved, the Chinese were forced to work the railroad, the indigenous people were forced onto reservations and murdered, and an attempted genocide, the Holocaust, any number of them, including the one in Germany, the one in the United States, and others. During the Civil Rights Movement, Jim Crow, during the women's suffragist movement, the gay liberation movement. If you've ever wondered what you would have done then, look at what you are doing now, and you'll know. How are any of us showing up now? Or are we, first they came for the LGBTQ folks. I didn't speak out because I'm not LGBTQ. Then they came for the immigrants, and I didn't speak out because I'm not an immigrant. And then they came for the deaf community and the blind community and all those who benefit from the American with Disabilities Act. And I didn't speak up because I don't benefit from the American Disabilities Act. And then they came for, and then And now there's no want. You get the moral of the story. So who are you showing up as now? What are you showing up as now? How are you being that influences how you are showing up now? Anytime we see any number of instances of injustice, bullying, harassment, terrorism, etc., what do? What have we done? What are we doing? What will we do? Because oftentimes what happens is we don't do anything. Breathe. Here, we may meet difficulties, uncertainties, and doubts, barriers walling our passage, but we must not be discouraged. We must not be discouraged when we are so confronted. We must climb over the rocks of unbelief. We must pass around the barriers of doubt, and we must plunge ourselves into the stream with faith. The stream will ever widen. The barriers will gradually disappear. Though we walk through the plains and the valleys of indecision and doubt, the stream will carry us back to the ocean of our being. See, you note that Dr. Holmes isn't saying, if you think happy thoughts, difficulties vanish and they no longer exist. It's not what he said. He said, yes, you will experience doubts and uncertainties and barriers, injustices. But what do? You climb over, you go around, you anchor yourself in faith. And what you notice is these other things begin to lessen because you are now showing up. The young men gather at the counter where they're not supposed to sit because the colored folks sit over there, but they gather at the whites only counter. They face the obstacle head on. Anchored in faith, any doubts and uncertainties begin to fade away. The injustice doesn't immediately end. As coffee is poured on their other colleagues and sugar and ketchup and they're spat upon, the obstacles and barriers of Jim Crow don't automatically vanish. But as they climb, as they go around, as they plunge into the stream, over time, consciousness changes. Things change. So, what would you do? Would you choose to be an upstander rather than a bystander? Would you speak up and stand up, or simply say, bye-bye, not mine to be involved in? You may not control all of the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. You may have heard this phrased another way: it matters far less what happens to you, but how you respond to what happens to you. See, I can't control being diagnosed with prostate cancer. It's what my body showed up with. But I don't have to be reduced by that. I can go through the experience of thanatophobia, but I don't have to be reduced by it. My parents have made their transition. My mom makes her transition in 2020, and the majority of my family, they're strangers to me now. I haven't spoken to some of them since then. Spoken to one or two of them, but the vast majority of them I haven't spoken to since 2020. I cannot control that. I cannot control the events, but I can decide, I can choose, I can be actively engaged in a way where I am not reduced, where I am not controlled by the events. How many of these people do you know? Do you recognize? Do you understand not just knowing who they are, but do you understand what they did, what made them significant historical figures, and even more so, what made them choose to be upstanders? Because that's what they did. They were upstanders. But what made them choose that? What gave them the ability to choose it and then persist? In terms of today, who are the upstanders of today? Where are they? Why are they? How are they? Is it you? Is it me? Is it them? Is it all of us? Is it all of CSL? Is it some of CSL? Is it unity? Some of it? None of it? All of it? Part of it? Oh, it's my neighbor. It's my neighborhood. Can you identify upstanders of today? And are you included in that list? The willingness to show up changes us. It makes us a little braver each time, just like doing push-ups. One push-up changes us. Then the next time, 3 push-ups because I'm a little stronger. And then the next time, 5. And then the next time, 10. And then the next time, and then the next time. The willingness to show up, the willingness to be present, the willingness to be an upstander changes us. And each time we do it, we become a little more brave, a little more courageous, a little more compassionate. And as a result, not only do we change, but everyone we now show up for, every way that we show up, every location that we show up changes as well. A movie / musical that I loved, and the song that you see being demonstrated because you don't hear it, copyright laws. One of the most powerful scenes, like it chills and whew, synesthesia, like whew. But the concept is, this is me. I will make no apologies. Yes, I have been bruised, but I am meant to be. Yes, these things have happened. Yes, this has been the experience. Yes. And still, I'm going to show up. And so we ask ourselves, well, Nelson Mandela said, to deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. Do we stand up? Do we speak out? Do we show up in favor of humanity and human rights? In what way do we stand up for people's rights today? In what way do we speak out for people's rights today? Or are we those who might say that human rights are negotiable? Some people deserve human rights, but not everyone. Certainly not them. Are we included in that group that we would dismiss some aspect of the divine, regardless of where they were born? Well, they don't deserve. Well, then we clearly don't believe that all are expressions of God. Then we can't. To believe that some are worthy and others aren't. Dr. King said, a man or a person dies when that person refuses to stand up for what is right. Hold on, Brother Martin. Hold on. What you just say now? Hold, wait. What did you just say? A person dies when that person refuses to stand up for, refuses to show up for what is right. A person dies when that person refuses to stand up, to show up for justice. A person dies when that person refuses to take a stand, to show up for what is true. Whew, breathe. So in the Bible, there's a passage that says faith can move mountains. And at one point, years ago when I was in Bible study and this came up, I said, well, but wait a minute, that can be read differently. And the deacon said, what do you mean? Faith can move mountains. And they looked at me. I don't think they understood what I was getting at, because this is often, yes, faith can move mountains, or faith can move mountains. I mean, versus the concept of, well, wait a minute. Yeah, we understand that it can, but a lot of us aren't doing it. So how about a faith that moves mountains? How about we engage in faith that does, in fact, move mountains? And faith being fearless action, initiating true healing that moves mountains. Fearless action, initiating true healing that moves mountains. Okay, just saying. The person who moves a mountain begins first by carrying away one small stone, followed by another small stone, followed by another and another and another. The person who moves a mountain, no matter what the mountain is, racism, begins by carrying away the small stones. Sexism, by carrying away the small stones. Homomisia, by carrying away the small stones. Ableism, carry away the small stones. Because the moment we say, oh my goodness, but look at, you see how high that mountain is? There's no way I can carry that. What? But the moment we say, oh, but this, oh, I can carry this. This, I can carry that. Carry away the small ones, while other people chip away and make more small ones, chip away, make more small, and carry them away, carry them away, carry them away, until such time as. But one thing we have to be able to do first before we can even get there, because what if I'm not picking up small stones? I'm actually picking up turtles. I'm picking up small turtles. Well, first you have to be able to identify what is the obstacle. What is the mountain? So what do you see? If I asked you to describe this image, what do you see? How do we understand well enough to be able to identify the mountains, the barriers, the obstacles, the oppression, subtle, overt, and covert, right? Like, how do we even identify it? Because does the gentleman in the image, does he has two hurdles? The woman of color has many, many, many more. So clearly this would not be a fair race. But why not? And if we're going to make it a fair race, how do we do so? Do we give him the same number of stumbling blocks? Or do we remove hers? Especially when we get to the point of, why does she have these? Racism and sexism, toxic patriarchy. Oh. So what do we do about it? Well, first you have to identify it. Know the difference between, that's a small turtle. That's a small stone. Move the stone. How do we move or remove the mountain? One, identify it. Two, do the work. Be willing to bend down, pick up, and carry away. Be willing to research. Be willing to have uncomfortable conversations. Be willing to call a thing a thing. For example, recently, and I can't remember the name of the young woman who highlighted this point on Instagram, and I can see her face. She said, it's not white supremacy. It's reframe. It's white narcissism. And she goes on to explain, and I'm like, whoa. Oh, that's so. Can we identify? Yeah, it's not even, in many ways, someone would say, okay, this person came in with a cough and with other respiratory things. Is it COVID or is it a flu? Is it the flu or is it a cold? Being able to discern, is it white supremacy or white narcissism? What does that now mean? What are the symptoms? Is it Christianity or Christian nationalism? What's the difference? Oh, once I can identify, then it's far easier to determine. I can identify the mountain, I can identify the obstacle, I can identify the dis-ease, I can identify the symptoms. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Have you ever heard that as part of the poem before or the essay? Have you ever stopped to ask, well, what does it mean? Especially when we think of fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Angels, you mean like Tess and Monica angels, or fool, the fool card from tarot? Well, firefighters, well, they don't necessarily rush in. Oh, I get what you're saying. There's a situation, and rather than just rush in, whatever it is, first you have to assess what's going on, what's on fire, where's the fire. First, you have to assess, Tess, who are we here to help? What are we here to do? First, you have to assess. Does fool mean stupid, or does fool mean I am not confined by the structures and systems of, and I understand that when I step, the next part of my path will, and when I step, the next part of my path will appear. So when we're going to show up, to what degree are we assessing what we're showing up for? To what degree are we assessing what? Why am I understand there's a warning. I got you. Caution, because there's danger involved. I got that. But you said what now? So caution is calmly allow understanding to inspire our next steps. Oh. So whatever's going on in the confusion of, yes, caution, be mindful, be aware, but calmly allow understanding to inspire our next steps, and then proceed accordingly. Because it does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you continue to go. Don't stop. Keep going. See, because therein lies part of the reason why the United States of America is in the condition we are in. See, civil rights went this far, and people assumed, well, we got the right to vote, and we got this, and we got that, and we got that. So it's no longer an issue. Stop. But as we know from medicine, which I've mentioned many times before, when there is an infection and the doctor prescribes an antibiotic, they tell us, continue to take it. And if the symptoms disappear, continue to take the required amount of the remainder of the prescribed medication. Because if you stop when the symptoms stop, the infection can come back even stronger, because what you did was trained the infection. You gave it the workout to say, here, I'm going to give you a little bit of this and give you, so now you're immune to it. It doesn't bother you now. You're bulletproof to the penicillin. We stopped. Gay liberation, we stopped. Women's rights, we stopped. ADA, we stopped. We got to a place where we got comfortable. So it doesn't matter that we move slow to change the course of creating a world that works for all. It's not about rushing. It's not about being in a hurry. It's about continuing. And even when that has arrived, if we're forever open at the top and at the bottom, then there's always something else to create, to evolve into. So if we're going to fall, which we are, fine, fall 7 times, but get up 8. Keep the inertia moving. An object that is at rest stays at rest. An object that is moving is going to continue to move unless something begins to slow it down, such as friction. In what way are we moving and it's causing us to be moved with it? Versus we are anchored and grounded and moving according to our own speed, G-forces, etc. Many people remain at rest for fear of movement. In other words, the fear of change causes many of us to sit passively or apathetically in observation mode, bystander mode. But failure does not mean the loss of something. Failure occurs only if the loss of that thing removes our enthusiasm, courage, and zest for life. Only if it removes our faith, our conviction, our happiness. Only if those things are removed from us. Because if they are removed, then true indeed, there has been a failure. So as long as we are continuing, move the stones one at a time, maintain your faith. We are facing ice. Do not lose your zest for life. Do not lose your courage, your conviction. Do not lose your happiness, even while confronting their injustices. One at a time, one person at a time, one city at a time. Then we're not failing. How many sit-ins does it take to change a law, to abolish Jim Crow? Are you persisting until it happens? Are you making full use of all of your choices? Because as Dr. Edith says, you always have a choice. And if you're not familiar with her, here are some of the books that she has written. She is a survivor of the Holocaust. The Choice. Even in hell, hope can flower. But it has to be done by choice. She tells a story. When I was 40, I was told to go to school for a doctorate. And I said, it's impossible because by the time I get the doctorate, I'll be 50. And the person said, you're going to be 50 anyway. And she said, isn't that brilliant? It's going to happen anyway. So why not go ahead and do this? Why not go ahead and do the thing that you are avoiding doing rather than continuing to avoid it? Face the fear. Face the falling down 7 times but getting up 8. Start by doing what is necessary and what's possible. And then suddenly you will notice that what you are doing, you are making the impossible possible. You are doing the very thing that you once believed or that others said was impossible. So rather than not intervening, it is our duty to intervene. It is our duty to get involved. Because to intervene means to step in or to get involved, to show up. As in a conflict, a problem, or a process, it is to get involved and to change it or to stop it, to improve it. To become an active participant that alters the outcome. That's what when we talk about interventions, whether it's drug related or, whatever. An intervention is the action of getting involved and interfering with, intervening the situation. It's the same thing. Are we intervening in medicine? Yes, we do that every time we take a prescription or, put an ACE bandage on. We're intervening. Do we do it in education? Yes. An IEP for students is an intervention. Speaking to the student so that they don't go to detention is an intervention. Tutoring is an intervention. Do we do it in politics? Not in New Thought, we generally don't, but we should. Now, in the same way that we understand that bystander intervention, if you observe something happening, we have to understand the bystander effect. How do we, you're on a subway train and you witness, a woman being assaulted. Well, there are certain steps that we are invited to engage in order to be an upstander and intervene rather than, if I don't see it, it's not happening, or I'm going to record it, but, well, it's still happening. She's still being harmed. Yes, you're recording it, but so are 50 other people. When do we stop it from happening at all? How do we stop it? The 4 Ds of bystander intervention. And this works not just in seeing what's happening on the train. This works in terms of saving our democracy. This works in terms of benefiting and saving or evolving our center. How do we delegate? How do we direct? How do we distract? Have you ever been to a board meeting where Reverend Ray is? Well, how do I distract him and get him back on target? Right? These work in many other situations. Is it time for an intervention? And if so, what kind of intervention? What kind of intervention are you right now being invited to get involved in? Something with family? Something with work? something with a neighbor, a neighborhood, a housing association? Is there something? Huh? Oh, yeah, I've heard those. I've heard all of those before. I know. But Ray, I'm not supposed to. Do not cross. Do not go. I got you. Yes, we are told in many ways. Stop. It's none of your business. Leave me alone. Mind your business. I know. I can see Tracy's face right now. Yes, I know. We say mind your own business or mind my own business because that's what mind your own business. Ooh, I was just, oh, they're not you. Do not intervene. Don't get involved. I hear you. I hear you. I understand. Or, but that's none of my business. These memes, when they first came out, they were all over the place. Dear Kermit, that's none of my business. Some of y'all be posting pics of y'all's kids, acting like y'all taking care of them, but they always over at grandma's house. But drink my tea because that's none of my business. Right? They came out with all, yeah, I hear it, but that's none of my business. His shoes are $200, but he always asking for water cups at McDonald's because it's cheap. But drink my tea, that's none of my business. Right? I understand. But the concept comes from, am I my brother's keeper? Which comes from the Bible. When the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel, your brother? And Cain said, I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? Well, we're going to talk about that in a second, but we're also going to talk about this book real hot for a second. And just so you know right now, what I'm going to say is controversial because you see the title of the book. What you think of me is none of my business. I don't agree. We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, because it's not entirely correct, but first, am I my brother's keeper? Am I my sister's keeper? Am I my non-binary, gender fluid, gender rich siblings keeper? No, I am them and they are me. So it is my business. I must intervene. I must stand up. I must speak out. I must show up. Which goes back to what I was saying about the title of the book, referencing what they think of me is none of my business. So you see the folks on the screen. What they think of me is none of my business. Do I care what they think of me or anyone else? For many of us, the answer would be no. I mean, no, but it's not necessarily that I care what they think of me as much as I care what they think, period. Well, why is that even important? Because their thoughts are creative. And if we are working to create a world that works for all, then we need to know how to do the work to heal their beliefs and their consciousness, specifically as they relate to us and us to them and all in general. See, that's the thing. You can't help someone heal from racism if you don't know that they're racist or sexist or any other thing. If you don't witness it or you don't care about it, or you are so in a space of ignoring it so you don't see it, how do you help change it or heal it or address it? It's better to know in order to heal and address, to evolve. To live aimlessly without life-affirming morals, values, and ethics is to live a life void of love. Because to live without such guidance is to ignore the needs of others. And that is the antithesis of love. Depending on your age, you may recall this historical moment. What would you do? Would you be that person standing with your shopping bags, standing in front of the tank so the tank can't proceed as normal? What would you do? Would you place your body? Would you intervene in such a way that says, if you're going to go, you're going to have to go over me. I'm not going to just passively sit by and let you. No, we're not playing that game. What would you do? Well, one, if you cannot eliminate the fear, fine, feel the fear and do it while being scared. Yes, I may be scared of being hurt, injured, or killed, but am I willing to do whatever it is, protest, run for office, whatever it is, am I willing to feel the fear and do it anyway? Am I willing to stand up against injustice, even while being afraid, and do it anyway? Am I willing to see something wrong in the world, and because Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 is what I am anchored and grounded in, even though I am afraid, I must intervene? You can choose courage, or you can choose comfort. You can't have them both. You can choose to drive the car forward, or you can choose to put it in reverse. You can't do both. Which are we choosing? Courage? And the comfort she's referring to is the comfort of inaction. Courage says, I know that man didn't just slap that child. I need to say something. Versus the comfort of, not my kids, not my business, mind your business, especially since that man is bigger than me. Just somebody else will work it out. In the name of Jesus, it'll be taken care of by somebody else. La, 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 la. If I don't see it, I don't hear it, I can. That's comfort, the comfort of inaction. Or do we have the courage to say, I know all y'all ain't, oh, no, I'm not. The courage to say, I will not. I will not simply do it because I am surrounded by those who do, or will, or think that way. I will not be complicit. What would you do? In the movie Braveheart, which is loosely based on a true story, there's a moment where he knows that, if I keep doing what I'm doing and they catch me, I'm going to be executed. He chose to do it anyway, because fighting for the freedom, fighting for the liberty, fighting for the liberation was more important. Suppose you had the opportunity to go to the United Nations. What would you do? Would you go? Would you go and speak? If you are invited to speak, would you go and speak? What would you do? And if you are there and have the opportunity to speak, what are you going to say? Are you going to say that which a coward would say, or that which the courageous would say? The comfortable would say, the courageous would say. It has been said that character is tested by what we do when no one bears witness to our actions, and that champions are made when no one is watching. But I say, a person who demonstrates life-affirming character is a champion. And this is forged by how these questions are answered. Who do I choose to be today? How do I choose to demonstrate it? The consciousness of the Good Samaritan is a core tenet of Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0. And the ability to live in ways that empower us to face whatever and whomever we need to face and address to liberate the world. Discomfort, apathy, and fear cause us to avoid action, interventions, conflicts, and certain conversations about things like politics, DEI, Christian nationalism, Project 2025 and 2026. Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0, when embodied and lived, gives us the ability to have those conversations and address the conflicts directly, because we know that it is the only way to heal and create a world that works for all. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, I invite you to repeat it with me the second time. I live my truth in all ways and always, no matter who, what, or when. Together. I live my truth in all ways and always, no matter who, what, or when. Everything is practice, so this week our journal questions or conversation prompts. What would I do if I were to witness an assault, bullying, etc.? What would it mean for me to be an upstander? In what ways can I effectively intervene in life and be a part of the healing energy? What are 3 things that I keep putting off starting or doing? And what are the reasons for my delay, my procrastination, perfectionism, fear, etc.? Like, what's the reason? What's going on? Number 5, how does my showing up create a world that works for all? Number 6, how can I apply the concept of I am not my brother's, sister's, siblings' keeper. I am them, and they are me as a practice? How can I apply that concept as a practice? And then lastly, what would I say to those assembled at the United Nations? If given the opportunity to deliver a speech, what would I say? Our out and about practice, have a conversation about a mountain that Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 could be instrumental in shifting and how it could occur. Breathe. As we enter into that space of prayer, awareness, declaration, where we affirm and know that God is all there is, Spirit is all there is, the infinite, the one mind is all there is. And all that exists is what it is. There is nothing outside of it or separate from it. It's all oneness. And therefore, there is no me separate from it. There is no we separate from it. There is only it. And therefore, I and all are expressions of it. And so when any of us shows up, God shows up. When any of us shows up, Spirit shows up. When any of us is present, the universe is present. When any of us does the work, then healing is on the scene. And so I allow that to sink into my system that says, when I speak up, when I stand up, when I am an upstander, when I am a good Samaritan, an upstander, then I am allowing my values, my morals, my ethics to be expressed and demonstrated as the way I live. I allow my inner divinity to be expressed outwardly. And so I breathe, recognizing that I always have a choice. I choose right now, no matter what's going on in the world, in the same way that Dr. Edith was in Hitler's concentration camp system and flowers bloomed. She grew and bloomed, even in the midst of such, then I too can choose. In the midst of whatever is going on in my life, in the world, I can choose how, what, when. I can choose. Who do I choose to be today? What do I choose to be today? And how do I choose to demonstrate that? And so I breathe, knowing that the law receives and the law acts accordingly. All of these words, all of this message, all of this energy is already moving and swirling and shifting and shaping precisely to be what we already know it is. Answered prayer. The demonstration of a choice. The manifestation of a decision. A word made form. An idea given shape. It's happening right now, in this moment. And so I breathe with great joy and gratitude, knowing that that is precisely what the creative process is. That is precisely what answered prayer is. That is precisely what is right now. I live my amen. My amen lives me. And so it is. And so it is. And so, our usual, I will see you same bat time, same bat channel next week. So keep practicing, keep studying, keep knowing how amazing you are, how worthy you are, how appreciated you are, and do whatever it is you need to do to make this a week of fun, joy, and love, because you deserve it. See you soon.